The fire eats the wood, but it gives no warmth. It is a thing of light and motion in a world that has become still and grey. The clan sits around it, their bodies huddled close, but their spirits miles apart, each locked in their own private cold. The only sound is the hiss and crackle of the flames and the soft, right breathing of shared sorrow. Kael is gone. The space he occupied, a surprisingly gentle laugh, is now a hole in the fabric of their world, a silence that is louder than any scream. He was not their greatest hunter. He could not track a mammoth or face down a cave bear. Kael was a finder of small, important things. He knew the hidden places where the sweetest berries grew, the shaded rocks that harbored medicinal moss, and the precise, almost alchemical conditions required for the growth of the rare, savory mushrooms that could turn a meager meal into a feast. He was also, by a measure that defied all odds, the CLUME street member of their small band of Homo erectus. He could trip over flat ground. He could get tangled in his own feet while standing still. His life was a series of small, comical mishaps that had, until yesterday, always ended in a sheepish grin and a dusting off of his hide tunic. Yesterday, his clumsiness finally found a partner with teeth. They found him at the edge of the fern grove. The evidence told the absurd, tragic story. His gathering basket was full of the prized mushrooms. A single, deep gouge in the earth marked where his foot had caught on an exposed root, and the tracks of a lone lion in hisses. A feathered hunter no larger than a wolf told the rest. He had been hunted by a pack, not brought down in some epic struggle. He had been distracted, had stumbled, and a single opportunistic predator had seized the moment. A life of providing small joys had been ended by a moment of small, stupid luck. It is a death almost too mundane to bear, an insult to the grand, terrifying scale of the world they inhabit. Kael, his friend since they were boys, stares into the fire and sees Kael's face in the shifting embers. He sees him demonstrating how to properly hold a spear, only to drop it on his own foot. He sees him returning to camp, covered in mud but triumphantly holding up a single, perfect bird's egg. The weight of these memories, the foundation of their kinship, is a physical thing, pressing down on Kael's chest, making it hard to breathe. He looks at the faces around him. Illuminated by the flickering firelight, he sees the same crushing weight on them all. The hunters have not checked the snares, the women have not scraped the hides, the children are silent, their usual games forgotten. Grief is a predator of a different kind. It does not tear the flesh, but it paralyzes the will to live, and in this world, paralysis is a death sentence. If you have ever felt a silence that is heavier than any sound, sit with them in this quiet dark, and feel the cold weight of a world without laughter. Kael understands, with a clarity that cuts through his own sorrow, that this shared, sacred silence is becoming a danger. The world of dinosaurs and starvation does not stop to mourn. Another hunter will be along the game trails soon, their clan adrift, their anchor of routine cut loose by a single clumsy fall. The ritual of mourning is necessary, but this bottomless, silent despair is a luxury they cannot afford. Something must break the stillness. But how do you fight a ghost that lives inside everyone you love? The ritual begins. It is an old tradition, a somber choreography of grief passed down through generations. The clan forms a circle, their heads bowed. The elder, a woman whose face is a roadmap of droughts and hard winters, begins the low, monotonous chant of the departed. It is a song of sorrow, a litany of all that was lost, each note designed to deepen the wound of grief, to honor the dead with the weight of their absence. It is a necessary act, a part of the ritual that has helped them process loss since the dawn of their kind. But tonight, it feels different. It feels like a stone pulling them down into a deep, cold river. Kael watches as the chant weaves its spell. He sees Kael's mate, her body shaking with silent sobs. He sees the younger hunters, their faces grim and tight, their hands clenched into fists of helpless anger. The grief is not cleansing them, it is cold-coifing them. He looks past the firelight, into the deep, listening darkness of the surrounding jungle. He knows what is out there. He knows what is out there. He knows that the scent of their motionless, distracted sorrow is just as potent and dull for a predator as the scent of blood. The ritual, their shield against the chaos of loss, has become a beacon for the physical chaos of the world. Their profound emotional state is a tactical vulnerability. In this moment, Kael's mind, a product of a lineage that survived by seeing the world differently, makes a terrifying leap. This way of mourning is not working, it is not healing them. The weight of their shared sorrow is too heavy. It needs a counterweight, not more sorrow, not more silence, but something else, something that will honor the man Kael actually was, not just the whole he has left behind. He thinks of his friend's life, a life of small bumbling triumphs and endless, good-natured falls. He was a man who brought them joy in life. To remember him only with this crushing sadness feels like a second death, a betrayal of his spirit. He has to make a choice. He can remain silent, a respectful participant in this slow, collective drowning. He can honor the sacred traditions of his people, or he can commit an act of profound sacrilege. He can shatter the holy silence. He can risk the wrath of the spirits and the ostracism of his clan to try and save them from their own grief. It is a choice that speaks to the very heart of what would become anthropology, the study of how human cultures adapt and change in the face of existential pressures. The old way is failing. A new way must be born, or they will die alongside the memory of their friend. He rises to his feet, the chanting falters. Every eye in the circle turns to him. Their expressions a mixture of confusion and shock. The elder stops her song. Her gaze is sharp. Obsidian point of disapproval. The silence that returns is no longer somber, it is tense, heavy with expectation and the threat of transgression. Kael takes a deep breath, his heart hammering. He is about to gamble the entire social fabric of his clan on a single, absurd memory. He clears his throat, not to speak, but to act. He takes a step, and then another, beginning a pantomime, a story told not with words, but with his body, a story that will either save his people or make him an outcast forever. Kael does not speak words of sorrow. For the old ritual, he chooses the language of memory. He begins to walk in a circle around the fire, his gait exaggerated, his feet seeming to catch on invisible obstacles. He mimics Kael's unique, shuffling walk, a movement so familiar that a low murmur of recognition ripples through the clan. He then pretends to see something on the ground, his eyes widening with the exaggerated delight of a child. He crouches, his movements a perfect parody of Kael's intense focus when he was on the trail of his beloved mushrooms, his whole body wiggling with excitement. He plucks an imaginary mushroom from the ground, holds it up to the firelight, and gives a silent, triumphant cheer. The clan watches, their faces a mixture of confusion, shock, and a dawning, horrified understanding of what he is doing. He is not just reenacting a memory, he is reenacting Kael's last moments. The elder looks ready to call down a curse upon him. Kael's mate lets out a sound that is half sob, half gasp. Kael ignores them. He commits to the final sacrilegious act. He turns with his imaginary prize, takes a single, triumphant step, and then with theatrical, pinwheeling arms and a look of comical surprise, he trips over his own feet, landing in a heap in the dust. For a long, terrible moment, there is only the sound of the fire and Kael lying motionless on the ground. The silence is absolute, a vacuum of stunned disbelief. He has not just broken the ritual, he has desecrated it with a joke. He has danced on his friend's grave. He has committed the ultimate act of disrespect. Then a single choke sound breaks the tension. It is a snort. A young hunter, one who had idolized Kael, has a hand clamped over his mouth, his shoulders shaking. He is trying to suppress it, but the sound escapes, a bizarre hybrid of a sob and a laugh. It is the spark. Kael's mate, who had been weeping, looks at Kael's sprawled form, and a fresh air rolls down her cheek, but the corner of her mouth twitches upwards in a tiny, involuntary smile. She remembers 100 other falls, 100 other moments of ridiculous, lovable clumsiness. And then the dam of grief breaks, not into a flood of more tears, but into a wave of sound that no one in the long history of human evolution has ever heard in this context. Laughter. It starts as a few hesitant chuckles, then grows into a full-throated, cathartic roar. They are laughing through their tears, the sound of wild, beautiful, and deeply strange music. They are not laughing at Kael's death. They are laughing with Kael's life. Kael rises to his feet, a smile on his own tear-streaked face. And in that moment, the clan is not a collection of grieving individuals. They are a community again, bound together not just by a shared loss, but by a shared loving memory. The hole Kael left is still there. But it is no longer a pit of despair. It is a space filled with the warm, echoing sound of his life. The ritual of mourning has been irrevocably changed. A new tool for survival has been forged. A piece of social technology that will prove as vital as the first stone axe, the power to find joy in the heart of sorrow. The laughter eventually subsides, leaving behind not a void, but a warm, gentle peace. The fire, which had been a cold and distant star, once again feels like a hearth. They begin to speak, not in the hushed, reverent tones of the old ritual, but with an energy and warmth that had been absent. One hunter shares the story of Kael trying to catch a fish with his bare hands and ending up with a crab clamped to his nose. Another remembers the time he got stuck in a tree trying to retrieve a honeycomb. Each story is a fresh wave of laughter, a collective act of remembrance that celebrates the clumsy, joyful, and deeply loved man they have lost. Kael's radical act of comedic sacrilege has given his clan a priceless gift. He has taught them that memory does not have to be a burden. It can be a shield, a source of strength, a way to keep the spirit of the departed alive, not as a silent ghost, but as a living, breathing presence in their hearts. This night marks a profound shift in the human story. The moment our ancestors learned that grief and joy are not opposites, but two sides of the same coin of love, they discovered that to laugh in the face of death is not an act of disrespect, but the ultimate act of defiance, a declaration that even in a world of relentless, savage brutality, the bonds of love and the echoes of a well-lived life are things that no predator can ever truly kill. To share a memory is to make a soul immortal. But how does a clan that has learned to laugh at death face a man who decides to kill?